Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're taking a look at Cold Fear. Cold Fear was very unfortunate in that it released in March of 2005. It did come out on PS2, Xbox and Windows, but unfortunately for a third-person survival game, launching at that time was a bit awkward because it was right behind Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube, which kind of set a new bar, and unfortunately Cold Fear didn't really hit that bar. There's a few problems with it. Now you're seeing footage from the PC version, which is running at 1440p. I have had to add some bits and pieces to it, some patches, to A, get the widescreen aspect, and B, to actually get a controller to work on it, because otherwise it's keyboard and mouse, and it's not great on keyboard and mouse. So yes, I've managed to do it, and this is what we're seeing. You can see it runs just fine once you've got it all sorted out, but it took me a little while, especially the controller. When I first started the controller, it was just moving a mouse cursor across the screen rather than actually recognizing my joypad inputs. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so Cold Fear, it's a survival third-person shooter set on a ship. Yes, I know. I think it gets a lot of flack and it doesn't really deserve. I mean, it came out after Resident Evil 4 and it's not as good as Resident Evil 4. The gameplay isn't as good. Obviously the story isn't good, the production values aren't as good. It was done by a company called Darkworks and published by Ubisoft, and it's using the renderware engine, which is something that EA destroyed when they acquired it, which is unfortunate because it was actually a really good engine at the time. And some of the work they did with it on this game specifically was outstanding. Because obviously on a ship, it's out at sea and there's a big storm going on, so you can't really just have a ship in a bit of rain. You need to have the ship rolling. And they managed it, like in 2005, they managed it at dynamic weather on it. So you get waves come across, the ship would tilt and your character would actually respond to the tilt of the ship. In some cases you could slide right off the deck if you weren't careful. So that was actually really good, and it actually caused them a lot of work, not just because they had to come up with an entirely new method for doing the ship rolling and having it actually work, but they also needed to do extra frames of animation for every character that would be affected by it, because, you know, instead of just wandering around, you're having to slide, slip, stagger. You could actually brace yourself on stuff in this game with one hand while shooting with the other. Shooting is pretty much as you would expect from this sort of game. You have a red dot sight, which, you know, yeah. Headshots are pretty satisfying and are the only real way to take down the bad guys. The bad guys in this case, although there are some regular ones, so you got some Russian dudes as well, because let me just tell you the story and we'll go on that. So you play Tom Hansen, who's a member of the United States Coast Guard. He is an ex-Special Forces soldier, as they inevitably were back in the day, and you're answering a distress call for a Russian whaler, and you get on board and things are a bit icky, because the whaler has been infected by these creatures called exocells, and they're these little gloppy sort of leggy creatures that run up walls and shit and like attack you by spearing you with this thing and slowly draining your health, which isn't fun. But they can also infect other creatures, and if you just take out the other creature and don't kill the exocell within, it gets out and it can get into somebody else. Now, getting that far in, we're seeing a lot of things that are familiar, and I think that's probably one of the game's kind of failures, if you like. Certainly the gameplay itself, it's a bit janky. Moving around is fine. It's not turret based controls like in the earlier Resident Evils. It is very much more Resident Evil 4, but it's not as responsive. It doesn't feel as good to play. When you aim, it's based on where your character's facing rather than the camera, which is annoying as hell for me. I'll be looking around the room, bad guy, go to aim, and I'm all of a sudden looking very much not at the bad guy and aiming my gun in completely the wrong direction, which happens to me a lot in this, because I'm just, you know, every other game it would align it to the camera, but in this it's the character facing, so I think that's my biggest gripe with the actual control system and how it plays. The game itself is, I think it's let down by the fact it's so familiar and features lots of things from other stuff. I mean, it's all stuff I like, so I generally like the game, but if you're going in and you're just like, oh, that's cliche, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's kind of like got bits of the Thing, Virus, you know, there's obviously Resident Evil influences. It's just so much in there, is like you've seen before. Leviathan, perhaps, you know, things like that. I mean, Leviathan, great movie. I think it's on YouTube at the moment, or it was last time I saw it, so check it out. It's kind of like The Thing, but in an undersea base, and they get like it's not an alien creature, it's like a parasite that the Russians have engineered, and they find it in a sunken ship called the Leviathan. It's in the vodka. So one of the characters gets a little flask of vodka, drinks it, and gloppiness ensues all over the shop. Good movie. Not a great ending, if I'm honest. It's probably got the worst one-liner I've ever heard in my life, which is, I say, motherfucker, from Peter Weller. Yeah, I'm not sure that's great. It came out sort of like that period in the 90s when The Abyss was coming out, so all the other studios are making like underwater, what they assume to be horror movies, when The Abyss wasn't really a horror movie, but blah, so we got like Deep Star 6 and Lords of the Deep and Leviathan, which are all worth watching, but you know, they're varying degrees of quality. I think Leviathan and Deep Star 6 are my favourites. So. Anyway, I've gone slightly off track there, but you see what I mean? It's kind of like this whole amalgamation of stuff that you've already seen. So it's really kind of like, sorry, I just had to check I was recording because I couldn't remember if I started it. I have started it. So that's good. I haven't wasted my time. This is excellent stuff. It was released by Ubisoft, you know, back before they were slightly less controversial than they are now, and function. You know, they've put out some decent stuff back in the day that wasn't sort of littered with politics and, you know, just Ubisoft being Ubisoft. I mean, it's got none of the Ubisoft open world nonsense that we've come to expect from every single Ubisoft game that we play anymore. So that's good. Speaking of which, I am planning on reviewing Outlaws. When that comes out, I won't be buying it. I will be putting money down for a month of Ubisoft Connect, or whatever it's called anymore. Is it Ubisoft Plus, I think? I don't know. Something like that. So much like I did with Avatar. So I'll just put down for a month of that, play the game, review it, and then say bye-bye if I don't like it. Which, you know, I hear different things about that game. So, there's like a lot of stuff I don't like from... just an experience standpoint of other things that included similar shit. But again, there have been some reviewers that got into the 4-hour trial remotely, so no visits to Disney World, and have given it relatively positive reviews. So I guess I'm just going to have to play it and find out for myself. I will be going in with a little bit of an open mind, but still a little bit biased against it, I feel. Not just because, you know, Star Wars and Ubisoft both suck nowadays, but well, yeah, pretty much because of that. So there's that. But Cold Fear, it is available on Steam still. It's well, you can pick up secondhand. I don't think it's that expensive in the secondhand market. It didn't sell well when it came out. I think it shifted like 60,000 units in the States, which for a game release is not a lot. I think, as I said, the proximity to Resident Evil 4 and not being able to sort of better it in any way really hurt it. It is a decent game. It is a good game. If you're a fan of survival horror, you'll find a lot to like here, but you'll find most of the stuff done better elsewhere. I mean, specifically during the time frame Resident Evil 4. So there you go. Anyway, guys, that's my little video on Cold Fear. I almost forgot the name of it because I haven't been playing it tons this week or anything. It's me, what do you expect? Anyway guys, take it easy and I'll catch you next time.